Hey everyone. Um, as it says up there, I'm Carl Turner. I'm the founder of SwipeBuy, and I'm really excited to talk to you today a little about artificial intelligence, right? And what can it do for your restaurant and for your business? And when we talk about artificial intelligence, right, to just get started, we're talking about generative AI. So there's a lot of hype about AI. What I will be focusing on today is generative AI, and we'll talk a little bit about what is it. Some of you might know, and then we'll talk a little bit about how can it help you, actually. And some of you might know too, but then I'm sorry to bore you. So if we start at the super ground level, right, if you think about generative AI and we break it in two things, it's generative and artificial intelligence. And to wrap your head around it, generative in the end really just means creating new content, and artificial intelligence means with a computer, right? So what AI does for us today, generative AI, is it creates content that hasn't existed before, text, audio, images, and it does it with a computer. I think that's the easiest way to think about it. And how does it work exactly? And some of you won't know, and I want to keep it simple because it's obviously not that simple in the end. But how AI works is, and especially if we look in the context of text. So you have heard about ChatGPT probably, right? Some of you might have used it. It's in the news a lot. And what AI really just does it predicts the next word. So when you put something in ChatGPT or in any of these language models, so that's what it is, and you say, for example, Dallas is in, it will go through all the data it has of the internet. So it read the internet pretty much, and in 93% of the cases, Texas is the next thing after Dallas, right? So Dallas is in. If it looked through all the text, it will say Texas, and that's how it spits out the content. So if you are going there and write me a college essay about Napoleon, it will just start thinking about word by word and always predict what is the next likely word following. And that is really the magic behind it, right? That's simple, and it's done by these large language models. So by a show of hand, has any one of you used generative AI already? All right. How many of you have used generative AI 5 years ago? No one. Oh. I think you're right. So probably all of you. Generative AI is actually not new at all. If you use Google Translate since 2006, what Google Translate does is nothing else but predicting the next word. You've used it. If you use Siri, in the end, that's a language model supporting when you ask it a question, giving the answer. And I think even more mind-boggling, because I think that was already on the Nokia you maybe had, whenever ago, autocomplete, right? Whenever you type in a text in a chat and it has this autocomplete thing with the next best word, guess what that is? A level of language modeling of generative AI, coming up with new content that wasn't there before. So what is the hype about, right? Why am I here today speaking? Why have you seen it in the news if it has been around since forever? And the reality is that size matters. So what has changed is something about size. And if we think about our brain has approximately 100 trillion synapses. And if you think about a generative AI model, that is the parameters of a model. So the bigger the model, the powerful it is. And I don't want to get too technical, but if we look at the Google Translate example, that model, which is out there since 2006, had 200 million parameters. And then in 2020, OpenAI developed ChatGPT, or GTP3, which powers ChatGPT, which came out later, and that had 175 billion parameters. And then just 2 years later, they came out with GTP4, which had 1.7 trillion parameters. And again, I don't want to go into much what are parameters and how it works, but you're seeing that over a very short time here, right? Within 2 years, we went from 175 billion parameters to 1.7 trillion. Nowhere close to a human brain yet, but that is the reason why it's in the news. That is the reason why we talk about it, because Google Translate is pretty powerful, and it's doing this with 200 million synapses like a brain. So only imagine what GTP4, right, one of the models you might have heard about in the news, is capable of. So how can it help? Right? All good and great. How can you use 1.75 trillion parameters for your business? And I think the easiest way to think about that is, again, taking it back to the original idea of the first part, generative, right? Where in your business can content help you? And when we think about content, that is text, images, audio, and code, for example. So again, by show of hands, who has created for your business any type of content over the last 12 months? What content have you created over the last 12 months? Awesome. I saw a hand. What content have you created over the last 12 months? Captions for Instagram and Facebook. One more over here. I think a lot of people raised their hand. Have you created any content recently? Okay. All right. So again, content for selling into restaurants, right? Like how to market to restaurants. So a lot of things, right? Like what we just heard here, social media posts. We heard the marketing point. But another thing, think about when you pick up the phone and a customer calls you for whatever business. In theory, there is no impressions. It's just audio, right? Like what the other customer hears is an audio file coming from your body, but that's content. When you think about the photography that has been done, right, for any of your marketing assets, that's content. When you think about the strategy, right, when you write down, where do we want to be? We want to open a new location. We're doing it in this market. Like all the stuff you wrote down there was content, right? So that's really the power of AI, because a lot of the things that we do, pretty much anything besides cooking, actually, for example, right, or serving the customer with a human interaction, a lot of the other parts are content, and that is where AI can actually help you. And so we'll go here in some see if we can actually see this, but we'll go in some super simple examples of using, for example, AI helping you with text and doing it for free. And so some of you probably played around with ChatGPT. This will be a little bit redundant then, but there will be some examples which I think will be more interesting. But how can AI help you with text? And so what I'm going to do here right now is put in a prompt. Stop. So we wrote in, write me a social media post for a $3 promotion of all my pizzas at my restaurant, Carl's Pizza. Continue. And stop. So, in a couple of seconds here, it created, and this is, I gave it close to no data, right? At no pizzas, $3 off, Carl's restaurant, right? And it created pizza lovers alert, came up with emojis, pizzas is $3, it gave me even some hashtags here, pizza promo, $3 delight, and so on, right? Within a second. So whenever you have writer's block on any content, that is where it could help you. Let's continue. And stop. So now I said it gave me the content. Can you also give me a prompt for the image, right? Like, I like this content of doing this promotion, but I don't know how to, what image should go with this? Like, what should I tell my photographer? What should I tell my creative designer, my art director, or whatever I have, or my son or daughter, right, who does this for me? And let's continue. Let's see what it spits out. It spits out a lot, right? Square format, suitable, background, typography, graphics, and stop. Logo, final touches, palette, right? So right now, just when you think about, I don't know if some of you work with social media agencies and you want to brief them, right? Or you want to tell, this is how it should be. Well, there was just your brief, right? Done in a second, of the original idea of writing a social media post. Let's continue. So it stopped. Another example, you go to Google review, you got a Yelp review, and you really don't know how to reply to it, right? Maybe it was a 1 star, it was all bullshit, excuse my French, and you were just like, I'm fuming. Well, copy in the review. Let's continue. This is a 3 star, so not that bad. And stop. It says, right, so the review was, food was okay, nothing to rave about, but the service was nice. Thank you for taking the time to share your feedback. We love, it gives you all the polite bullshit bingo that you might want to put on the reply here. But you didn't have to think about it. You didn't have to come up with the words. It does it in seconds, and it does it actually for free. So to continue again. And the last example I want to show you here is, let's make a marketing email. right? Write me a marketing email for the customer and for my $3 promotion. And I'll get this done here. And stop. Right? So you saw it going through there. It gave you a subject line, it addressed the customer, it gave some nice words, it finished it right, warm regards, and then it even puts like a little PS in. So instead of sitting down there and writing this marketing email, you just got the original template done with close to no input, right? And you can obviously adjust it for your needs. And that is, I guess, 3 simple examples how AI can help you with text. So how can it help you with image? Right, and this is a tool called Midjourney. That's, I think, not free. It's like $8 a month or something like that. And again, there's a lot of people creating images. So you're having, when I took the screen record, you have that lovely image there. Might be attention grabber. But so, let's think about, again, the social media post, right? It was the $3 pizza promotion, and we had ChatGPT giving us the explanation of what the image should look like. So let's copy that in here. Stop. And it says, a close-up shot of a freshly baked pizza where the gooey cheese is melting and the topping are vibrant and colorful. The crust should be golden brown, the bread round sugarful, warm and coziness, making the viewer almost smell the aromas. Continue. So now it's working. We'll take a second here. It starts, right, with a red blurb. Slowly you see the shapes of the pizzas. There it's coming more out, coming more out. And we're done. Stop. What was that? 30 seconds. 30 seconds, you got your image for your social media post. Maybe that is nothing like your pizza because you do Chicago deep dish. Well, I would have adjusted the quote to say, make it a deep dish. Maybe you do Napolitano, right, with the fluffy crust and whatnot all. Well, just adjust that. Maybe the toppings are different. But just within a minute, right, and if we maybe a minute and a half, we created a social media post and the image with AI, right? And normally that can be either really costly, or you go on the internet and you steal some stock image, which you might shouldn't steal, or you get a company doing it, and that is all yours. This, you have the rights to this. You can use that for whatever tools you want to do. And this is how AI can help you with images. One more. How can AI help you with audio, right? So one more part of the content pieces. And that is, for example, when you think about, again, the phone would be one example. A radio ad would be another example, right? Ever thought about radio ads? But then the problem is, do you have to pay the anchor of the local station to do the speaking, or do you do it yourself? But do you have a voice actor in the family? Let's see. We'll type in here. We typed in here. Hi, what would you like to order? I love pizza. We love performance food. And let's play this.
Hi, would you like to order? I love pizza. We love performance food.
Let's change it to a different voice.
Hi, what you like to order? I love pizza. We love performance food.
Let's copy paste Spanish in here and change the last part to actually say performance food.
Hola, lo que te gusta pedir. Me encanta la pizza. Nos encanta la performance food.
Let's do another voice here.
Hola, lo que te gusta pedir. Me encanta la pizza, nos encanta la performance food.
Right? And they sound maybe still a little bit robotic, right? Because they're close to perfect voices. But in the end here, you just saw when I did the drop down there on this tool, which is called 11 Labs. So that is, again, a free tool you can use. It can pretty much create any voice, any audio, right? In any language. So, when you look at it, you can do Chinese, French, German, Spanish, and can really adjust whatever type of tone, whatever type of voice actor you want. And again, every audio clip is yours. And you just didn't now have to pay the voice actor whenever you need voice on any of your marketing material, radio ad, and so on. So the last part here, and then we can do some Q&A, is what do Swipe By does, I guess, in a way, and how do we take this to the next level? Because obviously what you just have seen is you got to go in there, you got to copy in content, you copy paste it, right? You're still doing a lot of work. It takes a lot of work out of your day, but you still do a lot of work. And where really the power of AI will come, and you will probably, you will see this from us, but it will come from your POS company, it will come from a lot of the tools you use, is using the day-to-day data you get from your business, right? Customer data, loyalty data, rewards data, promotion data, gift card data, all of the things that in the end inform your and your menu data, that inform your current content, right? When I pick up the phone and a customer calls, when are you open? That's your opening times, right? They're probably somewhere in your POS or on your online ordering. When a customer calls and asks, what's the special today? It's probably in your POS. When a customer and you do a social media campaign, it's probably about a discount or promotion you're running. That's probably in your online ordering, right? So what we are doing is, and this is, I think, where a lot of the market will go and how you can think even bigger, how generative AI can help you, is when you combine it with the data that are day-to-day in your business, it can actually automate a lot of the things that I just showed you screen captures of. It can automate the social media posts, just create it, because it knows today you're open and you uploaded a new item. Well, let's make a post about that item, right? It can update your email marketing strategy in real time. It can reply to reviews the moment a new review comes in on Yelp and Google and help you get higher ranked. And so if you want to learn more about that, we are at a booth right over there, booth 8. But I think that is, where you can think about how generative AI can help you, either manually or connecting it with your real-time data to actually fully automate things. Thank you. So 15 minutes for Q&A, so I went pretty quick here. Any questions? Well, I think, on the scared part, I don't think so. AI today is really not that scary, because in the end, the one thing, it only does something if you tell it to, right? So AI doesn't do anything without telling you. And even then, it hallucinates, it sometimes gets things wrong. So I think today we don't have to be scared about AI. It's really not there yet, right? And 1.7 trillion parameters compared to 100 trillion, there's still a very long way to go. So yeah, I don't think it's scary. I think, it can help you a lot. So the question was about translating, right? So is AI stronger and better at translating when you, for example, need to engage with your staff, or I guess do marketing messages, or engage with partners? And I think if you use Google today, the latest Google Translate version, right? You can in real time talk to it and have a two-way conversation. Like you can literally have your phone on and it will have a split screen. So, I would say, because in all the features that are out there, like Google Translate, I don't know what other big features are, in the market, they probably have a lot of the latest tech, because where does all of this AI come from? It comes from Google, it comes from OpenAI, which is Microsoft, it comes from Facebook, right? IBM does some stuff with WhatsApp. So it's the usual suspects in tech. And as long as you use any of their tools, you probably use the latest and greatest already. Yes? So the question is around, and that's a really important one, it's about security, and I would even add on top of that privacy, right? Like especially if we think California, you have way stricter privacy laws. If we think about, I'm from Germany, GDPR, right? You might have heard of that. So there's two things I think which are considered. The most important thing is whenever you work with these AI tools, the data you give it, they own now too, right? So I think the one thing one needs to value is what data do you put in here? If you say, I'm a restaurant and I want to write a marketing email, I don't think that's necessarily hypersensitive proprietary data, right? There's a reason why the big consulting firms or investment banks banned AI, because if you put in, write me a deal memo about a deal that is not disclosed yet of company A acquiring company B, that's a bigger deal, right? And so I think when you look about your business, and most of the businesses in the world that don't necessarily deal with sensitive data, and the data you put into AI is the data you want to make public to the customer anyways, I don't think you have much to worry about. The only thing and there's no real big security threat with that. The only thing is obviously with data that would be PCI, credit card data, if any one of you works, I don't know, with hospitals and would have access to HIPAA, that stuff you obviously don't want to pass in. And so how we are doing it with SwipeBuy is that anything that is personalized is actually tokenized data, right? So instead of passing ever to the models that we are using, Carl Turner as the name, we pass user ID 123, have factors with that user, but OpenAI, IBM, Google, tools that we are using to make what I showed there before, the technology work, will never have actually the protected privacy data, right? And so that's how you can get around it, is primarily by just tokenizing data, similar how a lot of the credit card processing does, and only passing data that you would be able to share with the public anyways. Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, again, I can talk just for us, right? So, I mean, what our company does in more detail is we can provide online ordering. So we can just be an online ordering system. We integrate with the Toast, with Square, with a few others. And that is how we can get all the data, right? But I think what we will see more over the time is we are early in the game. There will be more competitors, and they might, if you use a POS that we wouldn't work right now, and integration is very important. Give it 6 months to a year, there might be other solutions coming out, very fully transparent. But how we are working is we are taking actually over your online ordering storefront to capture the most data. And the other thing, which is I think important, a great thing that AI does, we didn't talk here about, is, for example, upselling and cross-selling, right? Like, that is content again, right? When you have a really trained waiter in the store, and they are, saying, hey, it's so hot outside, you should try our chilled cucumber salad. That's a good upsell. Well, AI can do that online for you now too. And because of that, because it can do that online, we want to generally take over your e-commerce, like your storefront online. And our system is Shao Now, Menufy, Toast Order, I mean, name it. They're all the same. It's a commodity now, right? But so then we have even more power to show to the customer suggestions and so on as we are controlling that front end. I think there was a question in the back. Sorry, make you come up. Very good question. So how is AI used for accessibility, right? Like, can it help with sign language? Can it help to, again, make your online or, I guess, your offline more accessible? That's a very good question. Actually, I don't think I have all the answers to that. So that is something that is, I'll take that home and will, something for us to think about more. I think one of the things, I mean, if you think about accessibility in I guess that's not really what you asked, right? But I mean, that it does multiple languages. That's already makes your platform accessible to a lot of more people. That it can do voice to text and again, text to voice, right? So it could read an entire website with really clear voice, and not just with this human voice, for example, to make it more accessible. On sign language, I have honestly no idea, but in the end, it was trained on the data of the internet, most of these models, right? And then what we are training it on your data. And since I don't know if there's like sign language, there's probably in videos and so on, but a really good point. I think there probably can be more good can be done with it than there's done right now. Any others? We have 5 minutes left. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you, Performance, for having me.